Good morning, Mr. Gary Griffith, and to really explain why this might not be the best crime fighting mechanism. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. Yeah, it's not to say that it's not the best. It's actually the worst crime fighting idea I've ever heard about Tobago in decades. But I could understand the desperation by the chief secretary. He's desperate. He wants to find something, and what he's doing was a knee-jerk decision because he's desperate. He's not seeing anything happening. He's not seeing any new policies, any new projects, anything of substance. And I really do appreciate and welcome the fact of the comment that you made. You used the word ideas about on 4 occasions, and you are 100% correct. That is exactly what is happening. We have a new minister in the Ministry of National Security with absolutely no training, qualification, or experience in law enforcement. And there's this unfortunate situation that takes place by sometimes most political parties where they believe if somebody is versed in law, they're going to be of value as it pertains to national security. That is not true. The problem exists, whether it be Fitzgerald Hines, Earl Christopher, McDonald Jacobs, Stephen Williams. They do not have operational, tactical, strategic knowledge and understanding how to deal with law enforcement. The three commissioners before and after me, they are all administrators, so they are good pen pushers. That's why they wear gabardine. That's why they carry a cane. They probably never even held a firearm. They've never been in a tactical environment, understanding you have to utilize your resources in an effective and efficient manner, look at the policies, try to analyze the enemy, do a SWOT analysis, all of these things. So what you're seeing now in Tobago, now it has become a circus where the minister and the police commissioner will be walking slowly along the street, and then somebody will take a photo to make it look like something is happening. So the chief secretary's desperate attempt by coming up with the concept of using pirogues for the Coast Guard, it is a very unfortunate situation. It is totally unacceptable, and I'll explain why. It is that you have the Coast Guard. What is the reason for them going in a pirogue? It is really to not just to patrol and to be visible, but it's also to be able to intercept. You cannot use a pirogue to intercept a vessel that may be about 2 miles off or a mile off, because now you have to go faster than that vessel. The pirogue is not designed for, it's not a great race. So the pirogue must actually go, the vessel that the Coast Guard has must actually go 1.5 times faster than the vessel it is trying to intercept. Trying to use a pirogue to do that, you are going to break the backs of the sailors. Because if you look at the Coast Guard, the type of vessels they have known as interceptors, there are safety belts, there's a cushion in the back, similar to what you will see when boats go to the Great Race. So you can't use a pirogue to be involved in interception unless there's the type of cushion, the shock absorber, to absorb the impact, the safety belt, the backrest. So you're virtually putting the Coast Guard officers at risk by doing something foolhardy as this. I remember when I was Minister of National Security, I joined Coast Guard on a patrol, and one vessel did not have this, and they were actually complaining to me about it. And one of my own security, we hit a wave, he went about 6 feet up in the air, cracked his back, and damaged his spine, and he could not walk for 6 months. We had to Casevac him to Miami for operations. That is what can happen. So you do not do that. That is one. Two, if it is that we go that road, what's the next thing that's going to happen in Tobago or even Trinidad? That if the police don't have vehicles, you're going to call PH drivers and have the police go in the PH vehicles. So there are situations of insurance and so forth. Additionally, we have the same vessels that were there. I acquired 12 Damen vessels, 6 patrol vessels, and 2 utility and interceptors. And these vessels were capable to do exactly what is required for Tobago. One was known as the SS Speyside. I acquired that vessel specifically to patrol the waters of Tobago, known as the Exclusive Economic Zone, from 2 to 12 miles out. And these vessels could do exactly what the OPVs could have done for $1.2 billion less. And they have interceptors on those vessels that can come off those vessels to go to Tobago to do the type of patrols that the Chief Secretary rightly requires. Finally, it is a holistic approach. It is not cosmetic just to throw sailors on a pirogue and let them patrol. They will be patrolling aimlessly. You can have vessels leaving Chagaramas, Maracas, Blanchishes, Toco, and go wide and end up in Charlottesville or whatever. So 2 pirogues could never patrol the waters if you feel that the waters between Trinidad and Tobago is so small. It is not. What you need is the proper radar. You need the drones, which I approved. I got the approval for, and it was dismantled after I left as security minister and commissioner. Then you need to have the Damen vessels to patrol your exclusive economic zone, and from 2 to 12 miles out between Trinidad and Tobago, going all the way around Charlottesville and so forth. And then you need the police marine branch, which I implemented, reignited after decades of being dormant, got the same type of vessels that Tobago requires. We had those vessels. The Prime Minister commended me for reigniting the police marine branch. So the police marine branch would have done tier 1, which is from the shoreline to 2 miles out, with the vessels that they have for that capability. Then you have the interceptors from the Diamond vessels that the Chief Secretary is speaking about, more than Stobel's Bay for the last 10 years, that is supposed to have gone to Tobago. Then you have the SS Speyside, a 50-foot diamond vessel that can lock down Tobago shoreline, that is also in Stobel for the last 10 years doing nothing. Then you have the concept internally of the CCTVs, the National Operations Center, the Emergency Response Patrol. All of these things that I implemented that had Tobago safe when I was commissioner and as minister have been dismantled, shut down, thanks to the same Keith Scotland's government that is now walking around aimlessly in a photo op, hoping that they can fool Tobago into reducing crime.
So you say that these vessels are currently in storage?
Yeah, they are more than Stobel's Bay, yes, for the last 10 years.
Right, and maybe the Chief Secretary was not even aware that we had vessels in Trinidad and Tobago with that type of capability, because when the Prime Minister came to Tobago, he may have been able to ask him about the vessels and if they can be used by that, even the Tobago police force that he is suggesting. Now, for you, you have, I'm sure that I assume that you've been listening to a number of the suggestions that are coming forward as they are trying to, combat crime on the island. Have you tried to have any input, offering your expertise there when you see or hear things being said that, are counterproductive to effective crime fighting strategies?
Well, definitely. I will always be a patriot before being a politician. I'll always be a soldier, a police officer before being a politician. I will always put my country first. That is the reason why I got back into politics, which is what politicians have now lost. Their concept is really to see if they could get in government or destroy the opposing teams. I'm not like that. If it is that the present government is the administration, you would have heard, I will do anything to try to support them, because if it is that they fail, we all fail. So whilst they remain in government, and they would be removed democratically in the next election, but until then, the country cannot wait. I said it on several occasions, I am willing to show you what it was that caused public trust and confidence in the police to move from 14% on my arrival to 59% on my departure, and now it is 8%. What it is that caused the public trust in the commissioner, being myself, to be 76%, and now it's less than 5% with the 2 people you handpicked. What it is that caused the highest reduction in serious crime in 31 years when I was a minister. What caused the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years when I was commissioner. What made Tobago feel safe when I was police commissioner. I am willing to show them what can be done. They refused. Unfortunately, Foley Augustine, the one thing he has copied from Keith Rowley is the same thing that he has done. He has actually blocked me. So I think it is so unfortunate, if not immature, when you're a political leader and you try to block calls from another political leader. I'm not your enemy. I'm here to assist you. So maybe it is Tobago should ask Mr. Foley Augustine, why did you block Gary Griffith from having any conversations? I would have contacted him and said, Foley, this is what has happened. This is what we have done. He has refused to meet with me. He has refused to communicate with me. He has refused to have any interaction with me, to the point of being so childish that he decided to block me on WhatsApp. And I have done nothing. I never said anything in any way to show that I am against Foley Augustine. I'm not against any political leader or any person who holds an administrative position that can serve citizens. It would be foolhardy for me to do that. It will not make me a patriot of this country. So I am more than willing to communicate with Mr. Foley Augustine, show him exactly what it is that was done when I was Minister of National Security, which is things that the present government did not do. Every 3 months, I will go to Tobago, show respect for Tobago, not have the Chief Secretary come to Trinidad so I will go to Tobago every 3 months, meet with the business sector, meet with the NGOs, meet with the Chief Secretary, and hear their concerns. And then from that, I was able to package a proper tool, comprehensive policy to lock down Tobago. And I did the same as Commissioner of Police. Every 3 months, I will go and meet with the business sector, meet with the Chief Secretary. That is how you deal with securing Tobago. Not a photo op of walking with Erla on the streets and hoping to take a picture for people to see, oh, look, something is happening. And these are where ideas will come out. If it is you have persons who are very well versed in a field, you meet with them, you communicate with them, you see what can be done and achieved. So I think the question should be up to Folly Augustine. Why have you been so irresponsible to want to block communicating with Gary Griffith when I'm not in government, I'm not the enemy, and most probably I may not. Well, again, I'm not too sure if it is that the NT will have candidates in Tobago, but that's irrelevant. He should be a little more mature to understand by communicating with me, it just might save a life or two in Tobago.
Last week with Mr. Watson Duke, and he indicated that what he notices is a lot of the criminals in Tobago no longer respect the police. Do you agree with this sentiment?
Well, respect is something that is earned, not won. I got that from my military training. You can't expect persons to respect you by the rank that you have or by the uniform that you wear. You have to earn that respect. You have to earn that trust. And as I mentioned earlier, when I became Commissioner, public trust in the police service across the board, Trinidad and Tobago, was 14%. People did not trust the police. It was almost 1 in every 10 people had trust in the police. When I left, it was 6 in 10. Now it has gone back to less than 1 in 10. And the reason for me doing that was making sure that I had the 482 Gary, letting citizens know that anytime a police officer disrespects you, abuses authority in a roadblock, whatever, you can call me directly. So the police officers do, I cannot disrespect citizens in a roadblock. I cannot be abusive. I cannot do this stupid thing that when people come to report a crime in a station, I will tell you, well, it's not this station, you have to go to another station. And with that, it caused every police officer to step up his game to realize that I can be marched before the commissioner's office within 24 hours if I disrespect any citizen. That is how you lift the standard of policing and get the public to trust you. So I had the 482 Gary, I had the police app, which had 485,000 hits. It was the largest app in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. That app caused good communication. We had online reporting to prevent people having to go to stations to report crime. We formed the gender-based violence unit, the social media monitoring unit. We provided delivery service to your home. By calling 999, we can immediately come to your home. So those are the things that cause the transformation of the police service. We had the I support our service, getting the business sector to work with the police service to lift the standard and on the image of the stations, the vehicles. We formed that emergency response patrol and the rapid response unit, so it ensured that within 5 minutes you can get a response. We had that high visibility, and there was interaction with the police complaint authority. That is what transformed the police service. So as much as Mr. Duke will state that there's a lack of trust, the lack of trust is not because of the officers. These are the same officers that had public trust at 60% just a few years ago. So it is not the officers, it is the leadership, the hierarchy, the minister, the commissioner. If you decide to shut down and dismantle the things that made the police officers accountable, we measured their performance, we had the proper management and leadership. That is what lifted their image, lifted the morale of the police officers. And by doing that, it caused an interaction with the public and the police. And by the public now giving the police information, it caused the police now to be able to secure the same citizens who now respect them. It was a win-win situation. It has now been lost, no fault of the police officers, but because of just bad administration, bad leadership, bad management.
A vessel washed ashore with 14 dead bodies. What are your opinions on this?
Sorry, I lost the earlier parts of the.
Okay, I said recently in the news we saw that there was a vessel washed ashore with about 14 dead bodies. Do you have any speculations of, possibly it being migrants or maybe anything that was crime related? What do you think about this situation?
It could very well be. It would be difficult for me to make any assumption because then I will operate just like Keith Scotland earlier and Fitzy by stating I'm giving ideas. I don't give ideas. The comments I make is usually based on empirical testing, research methodology, so upon which I can be assured that what I'm saying is factual. So we do not know exactly what transpired. What we can do and say is that if we really want to secure our borders, there's so much that can be done. I provided those, and that will assist us in being able to pinpoint these situations before it actually hits shore. For example, when I provided the mobile scanners to be able to check every vehicle that leaves Trinidad to get to Tobago, we can check it. I listened to someone in the business sector today speaking on another station stating, well, nobody will take an illegal weapon on a port in Trinidad to send it to Tobago. Who said so? Who fooled you into believing that? If it is that there's not a comprehensive search of every single vehicle that can and should be done, we have the K9 unit that should be used. We have We had the mobile scanners that I provided that will check and pinpoint if there are weapons in the vehicles. They never use the K9 unit. They shut down the mobile scanners that I provided. And we have the most ridiculous thing: if somebody is going to Tobago on the port, you have to go through a walk-through scanner. But the vehicles that are going through, that they are not checked. So when it is somebody is providing goods, meals, whatever, dry goods, their own private vehicle, you can easily hide an illegal weapon and you can bring it across. So it is not just about the entry into Tobago of illegal weapons, drugs, human trafficking from vessels leaving Trinidad to get to Tobago. It is also the legitimate port of entry that must also be checked, and that is not being done. So if that is done, and then we utilize the proper radar that we have, and the radar has a proper system with a national operations center that I set up in Tobago that was shut down after I left as Minister of National Security. That national operations center will be able to monitor the radar, pinpoint what is happening, and then I got the approval for drones. A drone could do 20 times more than all the OPVs and Diamond vessels that we talk about put together, because the drones that I was getting for to secure between Venezuela and Trinidad and Tobago could turn night into day. It could go 2 kilometers up in the air. You cannot see it. It can lock onto a vessel. If a matchstick enters our waters, it can lock onto it, see where it is going, pinpoint it, and then have the interceptors from the Diamond vessels, the police marine branch, intercept that vessel before it gets to Tobago. That is what should be done. So as it pertains to when vessels may enter illegally, we have dead bodies coming in to shore. That is how you can properly secure our border. Unfortunately, every single thing done. So if Tobago really wants to see if they can improve, it is not by Keith Scotland walking around in a cosmetic approach. It is not by Erla walk with a Kate Christopher. There are many things that can be done. Tobagonians, you all know you all felt safe from 2018 to 2021. You felt safe from 2013 to 2015. We can do it again. So, Fali, just give me a call.
But another thing that happened just a few weeks ago, the Prime Minister indicated that he was going to take legal action against you for claiming to have received money from him to prosecute his political opponents. How has that gone? Has he actually initiated legal action against you?
Yeah. This is me still waiting for that letter. I'm still bored. I'm yawning away waiting on that letter. Excited, looking forward to it. It's boring me here. So after a month of that grand charge, I'm still waiting on that letter, because the one thing with defamation is that defamation is only that if it is not true. The fact of the matter is that $41 million actually was actually pumped into the Trinidad and Tobago police account. There was no procurement process. There was no tender process. The cabinet note was drafted by the politicians. It was given to me. I was contacted by senior government officials. The senior government officials told me, you are to go to London. You are to meet with certain persons. These are the individuals that you would hire. They would be paid by the government. We'll send it through the police account, so it will not look like it's coming directly from the government. We will draft the cabinet note. These are the persons that you would hire, and these are the matters that they would investigate. Any other country in the world will see that as a communist country, as a dictatorial country. And what it is he's speaking about, what is there defamatory on that? That is fact. So if he's stating that he was not aware that $41 million left the Treasury to get into the police account, and it was used specifically to hire someone without my interest to say that I wanted this person specifically, and then you decide to state these are the cases that she will investigate. It's not about what the Prime Minister did was illegal. It is about ethics. It's unethical, because this was the same police service that for 6 months of every fiscal year, I had to try to get funds for 7,000 police officers in 120 stations with 1,700 police vehicles. Can't get meals for the recruits, cannot pay electricity bills, cannot pay for IT, cannot pay for fuel, cannot repair vehicles. For 6 months, I couldn't get a cent. But every time these UK attorneys call and they drop tools, the politicians will call me. Why are they dropping tools? Because no funds have come into the police account. Don't worry, I'm sending it now, Gary. Bam, and it will come in immediately. When it is that politicians try to use taxpayers' money specifically to home in to investigate political opponents, now you are trying to politicize the police service. And I think that is immoral, it is unethical, it is unacceptable. And anybody who is a PNM till they die Would you want that if it were the shoes on the other foot? You must always walk in someone's shoes before you try to cast judgment on others. And this is what I am speaking about. This is, you must not have a government that is so caught up in only trying to target political opponents. Your job is to provide the resources, yes, but you can't provide the resources and the funding and pigeonhole it into telling the police service this is what the funds must be to target these political opponents. That is democratic dictatorship. So I'm still waiting on his letter.
When it comes to all things National Transformation Alliance, what can we see coming from you soon, specifically knowing that the general elections are going to be called very soon?
Well, what you're definitely going to see is not the usual song and dance by political parties spending all their time and resources in trying to target, discredit, and attack their political opponents. That doesn't serve any purpose. My intention is to unite Trinidad and Tobago, to transform Trinidad and Tobago, to form an alliance within Trinidad and Tobago that this country has never seen before. I recall when Basdio Pandey was Prime Minister and Patrick Manning was opposition leader. Every time there's an event at the diplomatic center, Mr. Pandey will invite Patrick Manning. He will walk quarter mile to the gate to meet Mr. Manning, and they will walk in harmony. That is what is required in this country. When you have a chief secretary blocking the call of a previous commissioner or a political leader, you have a prime minister telling a commissioner use these funds, and these funds are to be used specifically to investigate political opponents. That is what has destroyed the country. Our country has been divided, and guess who wins? The criminals, because they are united. And we are dividing the country based on politics, based on race, ethnic composition, religion, geographical location. It has to stop. We unify the country. We come under one goal versus good versus evil. It's not about political affiliation anymore. That's what I intend to do. I intend to find an avenue that when we get into government, we are going to transform this country as it has never seen before, uniting the country. We must not be united just because of the 2 days of carnival in Trinidad or when it's carnival in Tobago, and you forget about how you vote is not how you party. It must be like that throughout the year. And if we do that, the love, the harmony, the respect for each other can come back. And that's what I intend to do. I intend to make sure that we can find a way to ensure the fundamental rights of citizens can be achieved, which is that to live, your right to safety and security. And the NTA, what we continue to show is the policies, the plans, the political will, based on having the right people that can transform Trinidad and Tobago in every aspect. The same way I was able to transform the police service, I give the assurance to Trinidad and Tobago we are going to transform every arm in the public service in the same way by measuring their performance, making them accountable, providing good leadership, and providing good management.
Excellent. So we want to thank you so much for giving us your time here this morning.